Hey folks, this is Erik Tryggestad at the Christian Chronicle. Now, if you're anything like me, you're ready to take the year 2020, put it back in the Amazon box it came in, and ship it in for a full refund, right? As much anxiety as there is, as much division as there is this year, I have to say I was really surprised to find inspiration in, of all places, modern day Israel. Now, I was able to visit Israel a few years ago, and it was unbelievable to be in the places where Jesus walked. But at the same time, it was also distressing to see the amount of division that exists in modern Israeli society. We're all aware of the divisions between the Palestinians and the Israelis, but of course there are other divisions as well. There's Orthodox, there's ultra-Orthodox, there's Reformed, you have Bedouin tribes living there, all trying to get along. And it's hard to really see any sense of unity, even in these holiest of places, to the folks who live there, to folks around the world. You see the Dome of the Rock up top with a separate walkway to get to it there, and below is the Wailing Wall. You just see so much division, and it's hard to believe that it will ever change. That's why I was so surprised to be listening to a podcast from NPR's Rough Translation and come across the story of Hotel Corona. You see, in the middle of the COVID-19 lockdown, the nation of Israel designated some of its hotels as places where patients could go if they had COVID-19, but they weren't sick enough to require hospitalization. You can imagine the problems that this created, the variety of people that ended up in there. One of these places is the Dan Hotel in Tel Aviv. And one of the patients there was a young woman named Aisha. This is a photo that was posted to Instagram, I believe, and that's Aisha, third from the right. She's from a Bedouin tribe. She was a janitor at a hospital. She ended up in this Hotel Corona, as it came to be known. And she started talking to some of the other residents there. She didn't know who to eat dinner with, and there's no social distancing because they all had COVID anyway. So she sat down with an elderly Jewish couple. And they started talking together, they were coughing together, and eventually they were laughing together. So Aisha pulled out her phone, took a picture, and posted it to Instagram. And then more photos started to follow from this hotel. People exercising together, people laughing together, attending a comedy routine. They even celebrated Passover together. The Muslims that are there in the hotel ended up attending this Passover observance with Reformed Jews, with ultra-Orthodox Jews. They were together recovering from this virus. And that created a sense of unity that they didn't see in the walls outside the hotel. The story says they didn't even really want to leave, partly because the Dan Hotel has a very nice pool, right? And who wouldn't want that? But I think more so because inside they were unified in their fight against this virus, and they were recovering together. Now, I hope for all of us who are followers of Christ, it's easy to see where I'm going with this, right? This is how our churches should be. This is the way that we, as people from diverse backgrounds, ought to come together, realizing that all of us are struggling against a global pandemic of sin and problems like racism and division and politics. These are all symptoms of that big pandemic of sin. But when we come together as a body of Christ and recover from sin together, we need to be aware of the unity that we're supposed to create. And I pray as churches start to reopen, as we're starting to come back together, I pray that our church buildings will become these houses of healing, where people of all different races and all different socioeconomic backgrounds can come together and recover together from the pandemic of sin. And luckily, most of our buildings have pools. If you want to read a little more about this, you can check out my column, and please follow us on social media as well.